Let's take you to France now. After weeks of political wrangling, Paris has unveiled a new government. The new Prime Minister, Michel Barnier, has put together a cabinet hoping to strike a balance between right-wingers and centrists to try to find cross-party support in a rather fragmented parliament. In June, the centrist president, Emmanuel Macron, called a surprise snap election after his party suffered a big defeat in the EU elections. Anne-Élisabeth Moutet is a French journalist and commentator.
To some extent, there is a relief. The relief is that Michel Barnier in France is fairly popular. He's not one of those young, frisky men who put us in all this chaos. So that's the difference. He's an old Gaullist. He is a methodical, not flamboyant type of character, hardworking. And so he has a considerably better image than most politicians in France. It was difficult to put together a cabinet because the drama did not stop when a prime minister was found, and that what we've ended up with is a combination of essentially centre-right characters and centrists from the Macron movement. You cannot even argue that if you add Les Républicains to the Macron partisans, you have a majority. So how long that lasts really now hangs on the hands of Marine Le Pen, who's been quietly sort of watching this, saying nothing, because she figures that it's going to blow up sometime and then she will profit in one way or another.
Now, people outside France might be scratching their heads here because this long-awaited new lineup, led by, as you say, Prime Minister Michel Barnier, really does, doesn't it, mark a decisive move to the right, even though it was a left-wing alliance that won most of the parliamentary seats.
It was a left-wing alliance, although it was an ad hoc left-wing alliance, and Michel Barnier has tried to get members of every single party there except the former Trotskyite of Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who only got 79 seats, which is 13% of the entire House, but who've been dictating everything because they are much more competent at this kind of sort of parliamentary manoeuvring. But they've asked many socialists to take part, and they have one, who is Didier Migaud, who's the Minister for Justice. It's a regalian post, as we say in French, as one of the main functions of state, justice, but they wanted more. At least, this is what they're saying. It is also true that they've got some people from Les Républicains, but they haven't got the most contentious people from Les Républicains. They haven't really got the Sarkozyist former ministers. So they say this is, they don't sort of go out and make statements about it. But what they're saying is, look, this is the most balanced government we could reach, considering the people who agreed to take part. The people they did not ask were the National Rally, even though the National Rally polled the most votes, even in the second round, 11% of the vote. They got 34% of the vote, so I think they did about as well as Keir Starmer, and they came last in the snap election.
OK, well, some new faces then at the top. But some things remain the same, don't they? I'm thinking in particular about France's dire deficit. Presumably that's top of the in-tray.
That is, and the question is, what do they do about it? And it's very interesting that they've appointed possibly the most interesting newcomer in French politics in some time, who's Antoine Armand. He is the 33-year-old finance minister. He is a technocrat, if you will. He is extremely bright. He identifies as Republican, Républicain, but he is quite willing to take to take strong measures, including some taxes. We don't know exactly what those taxes are going to be like, but essentially he has said, look, you cannot keep on telling people that you can solve problems without doing something that is not going to be popular. And his reputation is excellent. He is a completely new face, and quite honestly, he's never been identified in political action, so he may have enemies within the Ministry of Finance, but he doesn't have that many in the political world yet.